Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Werewolf Boy. Enjoy the movie. Sung Joon Ki is an elderly Korean woman living in the United States. While having breakfast, she receives a call from Korea informing her that she needs to come to her home country to sell her old family home. Her 17-year-old granddaughter met her at the airport. The house is located in a valley far from the city. Song-yi recalls how she moved here 47 years ago when she was also 17 years old. The previous owner of the house kept wolves in the barn, and behind the iron door, some aggressive creature that he fed raw meat. One night the man died of a heart attack before he managed to open almost all the locks. This happened in 1965. Song-yi and his mother and sister take things into their new dwelling. They are helped by good-hearted neighbors, to the girl pushes Wedge's capital major, who helped the family with the move. During dinner, Song-yi's mother tells the neighbors that her husband died last year. The city girl is shocked that the villagers eat directly from the common bowl, bypassing their plates, and the neighbor even coughs. He spit rice all over the table, so she never touched her food. The neighbor talks about his grandfather who kept wolves here. He sort of studied them. The mother admits that they had to move here because of her daughter's lung problems. She's homeschooled, so she has no friends. But this house is too expensive for them, and it was bought by a major. The mother put her sick daughter to bed, but Song-yi took out her diary and made a note of how miserable and useless her life was. Suddenly some rumbling sound was heard from the street. Her sister refused to get up, and her mother sleeps like a murdered woman. So Song-yi took a shovel and went outside. She herself went into the shed where the old man used to keep the wolves and opened the heavy iron door. Inside the cell sat a strange creature on all fours and in a sweater. It growled at the girl and ran away. The neighbors thought it was a wolf, but as soon as they left, Song-yi and his mother noticed a human silhouette outside their house, and indeed a terrified, dirty young man in tattered clothes fell out to them. Mom fed the stinker with boiled potatoes after the stranger was brought into the house and called the police, but what to do with the guy Burdock cop does not know and asks the family for now to shelter him for a couple of days. The major wanted to chase the homeless man away, but the man snapped at him. The woman came to the social service, and there she was also offered to keep the guy for the time being. Receiving a small payment for this, it is likely one of the 60,000 orphans who were left behind after the Korean War. Instead of washing himself, the boy wolfed down water from a basin. So the young boy had to be washed by his mother, at least above the waist, because he clung tightly to his pants. Daughters set the table for dinner, and seeing the food-bathed savage pounced on it and grunting ate absolutely everything that was on the plates. Sunny is annoyed by the intruder and is angry at her mother for agreeing to keep him in the house. The wolf cub was put in a small room. He thought he was locked in a cage again, and seeing Luna loudly forgot in the morning. The protagonist tried to get to her textbooks, but they had some heavy boxes placed on top of them, and then there was a strange type who got to her. The girl screamed and began to fight back, but it turned out that the young man just wanted to help. For this the girl rewarded the wolf cub with corn. The major entered the house. He offers the schoolgirl to forget about her studies and just become his wife. He spread his hands, but as if a watchdog, the boy werewolf drove the scoundrel away from the schoolgirl and chased him out of the house. Among her books, Son and found an encyclopedia of dog training. In the morning, her mother said that she came up with a name for their neighbor, Chelsea. She and her father wanted to name the baby if they had a son. Meanwhile, Chelsea is playing with the children and chasing a ball. The guy has super strength and threw the ball far into the forest. Song-yi comes to the children with a potato. She wants to teach Chelsea some commands, but the beast takes away the boiled vegetable by force. Accidentally biting Song-yi's hand, the boy is scared, but the girl does not give up. She teaches the pet to wait and eat only on command. After putting the potato in his mouth, Song-yi patted the dog's head. The training is paying off. The next time the little dog burst into the room and grabbed the food, he immediately froze in place when he heard the command to wait. Instead of keeping a depressing diary, Song-yi started reading an encyclopedia. She teaches her dog to brush his teeth, make his bed, and lace up his shoes. Just remember to pet the obedient pet. Song-yi cut the boy's hair and suggested his mother take him to the market, but while the family was choosing new pants for Chels, he was about to eat a flatbread without paying for it. He was saved from the scandal by his mom. The workers upstairs made a mistake and an iron beam flew on the family. Chelsea covered the children, taking the brunt of the impact. Amazingly, he only got away with a small scratch and a bruise. The children gave Chelsea candy and a bean sprout in a pot. They fed him with paper and taught him how to play soccer. So the company spent the whole day together until their parents called them to dinner. It was time for the wolf cub to learn to eat with chopsticks. The major held a grudge against him. Drunk, he rode around the village with a local girl until he crashed into a pen of goats. He ran over one goat and the rest ran away. Just as he passed by, Chelsea took the animal in his arms and immediately drove away, and the neighbor thought that it was our hero did this to his goats. Song-yi began to teach his friend writing and speaking, but instead he looks at his young teacher. The girl noted that Chelsea's hands were much warmer than hers. Taking a break, Song-yi played the guitar and sang to the young man. It seems that it was at this moment that he finally and irrevocably fell in love with her. Chelsea also stroked the girl. The social worker called and said that he had found a place for the orphan, but the girl just hung up. Chelsea tailed the girl everywhere and knocked down her door. A drunken major came to the house in the middle of the night. The protagonist had to go outside and put up with his molestation. The scoundrel came not by himself, but with his buddies. He hears the growling of the boy wolf and waits for him to show himself. Throwing the girl to the ground, Chelsea is angry beyond belief and begins to grow fur. His bones breaking and fusing back together, he turned into a wolf. Chelsea's blows make the villains fly apart, while he himself takes absolutely no damage. There was only one major left. The werewolf was about to rip out his tongue, but Song-yi told him to stop. The beast became human again when the policeman arrived. Song-yi started to deny everything. But she accused the major of breaking into the house, except that he owns the house and his father pays for the girl's medical bills and treatment. Then she remembered that the father, Major, had stolen the assets of the company her father had founded, and just like that, he was dumbfounded. Chelsea did get arrested but was soon released because the major was drunk and the other guys are always causing debauch in the village. He put conditions that if Wolfman stayed in the house, he would throw the family out on the street. So Chelsea was put back in the barn. Among the things of the former owner of the villain found a letter that led him to the scientist who worked with the dead old man. To be closer to the wolf cub, Song-yi started practicing outside. Her mother asked her not to get too attached to Chels, but as soon as the woman left, the girl went straight to the barn to the wolf cub. He drew her friend her guitar, and Song-yi gave her a book, which the guy will read to her himself when he learns to read. The girl let Chelsea out and asked him to promise that he wouldn't attack anyone else. The friends ran a race, but their lung problems made themselves felt. Song-yi felt sick and fainted. There was no one at home but her. No neighbors either. Then, taking the girl on his back, Chelsea ran into the forest, hoping to find other people. Night fell. The whole village searched for Song-yi in the forest, and soon they found her lying on the ground unconscious. The wolf cub was twisted and put in a barn on a chain. The family is visited by a scientist and a colonel. The geneticist says that his colleague was trying to breed an ideal soldier, which could then be used by the military. The colonel declares that no one must know about this experiment, and if the guy is as dangerous as everyone says, Chelsea will have to be eliminated. The major adds that if they hadn't found Song-yi in the forest, the werewolf would have killed her. The girl and her mom were going to the hospital for treatment, and before she leaves, she asks to go to the wolf cub to say goodbye to him. Chelsea ran after her, the strong man trying to be held back by several men. To avoid being shot with a dart, Song-yi ordered the young man to wait, and he obeyed as always. A surveillance camera is installed in the barn, and the colonel says that if the subject shows aggression, he will be shot. However, the scientist and his colleague intend to save the superhuman. Chelsea sadly looks at the children with whom he recently had fun. The scientist says that does not observe deviations in the young man's behavior. Military overtime also softened. All this infuriates the major. One morning Chelsea smelled his favorite person, and indeed Song-yi returned, giving the command, "Can." She hugged her friend. After observation, the scientist summarized, the guy just lacks socialization because he grew up among wild animals. There's no point in killing, but the major doesn't like that outcome. He lied that Wolfie ate the neighbor's goat. The girl confirmed the words of the scoundrel. But the neighbor saw the boy with the goat, but it didn't look like he ate it. The major's dastardly plan failed again. The village man came to him at night and said that the goat had broken bones, and on the ground near the fence there were still tire marks, so the scoundrel would not be able to deceive anyone. The man demanded that the rich man get away from the family, but as soon as he turned away, the scoundrel hit him on the head with a pipe. Then he cut off the electricity at Song-yi's house and knocked out one of the guards. The scoundrel entered Chel's cell and started to convince him that the girl would love him if he could find the guitar that the neighbor had stolen. When the electricity came back, Chelsea was no longer on the chain, and the major lied that the young man got angry and ran away. He supposedly saw him running towards the neighbor's farm. Chelsea burst into the neighbor's house and started smashing everything in search of the guitar. He throws the women aside to keep them out of the way. A squad armed with assault rifles surrounds the house, but the young man is approached by Song-yi alone to find out what's wrong. Chelsea showed her a drawing of a guitar. The lovers held out their hands to each other, and at that moment the major opened fire. He pointed his automatic rifle at Song-yi and demanded that she step aside, but instead the girl stepped in close and snatched the weapon from him. Chelsea was hit in the shoulder and the villain started beating the girl. The guy transformed back into a werewolf and jumped on the major. Bullets flew at him from all barrels, but the creature didn't stop him, and it bit into the scoundrel's throat. After killing the major, Chelsea grabbed the girl and fled with her into the forest. The colonel ordered to find and kill the beast. The wolf cub brought Song-yi to the cave. The weakened girl immediately lost consciousness. Covering her with leaves, Chelsea lay down beside her. In the morning, she heard voices of people and ordered the boy to run away from here. She beats the wolf cub and says she hates him. Chelsea utters his first words. He asks his beloved not to leave, but Song-yi turns away and leaves Chelsea alone. The scientist convinces the colonel to stop the search for the wolf cub, as it will only attract the attention of the press and the public. The military man asks Song-yi to let him know if the boy shows his face here again. But the family leaves the village. The girl leaves a note for her friend and cries. She didn't return here until 45 years later. The major's father's firm went bankrupt. The house was bought by neighbors and then bequeathed it to Song-yi. The woman wanted to spend the night here. At night, the granddaughter went outside and heard some noise, just in case she took a stun gun from the car. Sonny found a candy in the couch, which half a century ago treated the wolf cub. The woman also went out into the yard and looked into the shed. There are many plants surrounding it, and a light could be seen from the chamber. Song-yi reached out and opened the door. Inside sat the wolf cub Chelsea, who didn't seem to have aged a year. He held out an old note to his friend asking her to wait for her, and he did. He also found and glued the guitar together. The young man lowered his head for Song-yi to pet him again like 45 years ago. She apologized and said he may not wait for her anymore. She had lived a full life while Wolfman had waited for her all these years. As they had agreed, Chelsea read the very same book to his friend. In the morning, the woman woke up already alone. In the car, her granddaughter confessed that she had seen a man last night, but somehow she wasn't scared at all. Song-yi decided not to sell the house so that the werewolf boy could continue living in it.